Welcome jumpers, Dave Hunt here with Crossrope, and today I'm excited to bring you a tutorial on backwards jumping. So why learn backwards jumping? There's a couple different reasons, starting with the idea that any skill that you can perform forwards is going to be a different challenge when you transition that skill to rotating the rope backwards. It helps to enhance coordination. It essentially doubles the amount of jump rope skills that you can perform to keep your workouts fresh. And additionally, there's some in the fitness community who are firm believers in various muscle activation techniques and the idea that any sort of dynamic movement in one direction should be counterbalanced with movement in the opposite direction to keep your muscles balanced and to keep your gains going for all sorts of different types of movements, skills, and exercises. If you have not had a chance yet, join our thriving jump rope community for a free 30-day challenge at the first link below. And our second link is our ropes. Please check it out. So let's get into the demonstration. Now, a quick backstory from me. I feel very in tune with the kinds of difficulties in learning how to jump backwards because it probably wasn't until about 2 to 3 years into the business that I learned the skill myself. So I went through all this stuff. I used all these techniques personally. Backwards jumping is was not a skill that I was comfortable at when I first started my jump rope fitness training. So as I go through, the very first thing that I noticed is that learning to jump backwards with a light rope was just difficult. It was more difficult for the same reasons as I've mentioned before with other skills. If you can't feel the rope and you can't get that sensation of the feedback, it's difficult to get the timing, particularly because you don't have the same visual cues. So when you're jumping forwards, you kind of have a sense of where the rope is and how to time your jump. When you're jumping backwards, you lose that visual cue and it's all the sensation of where the rope is. So I will be using our half-pound infinity rope to demonstrate this, which is the same weight of rope I used when I first learned to jump backwards. And I want to start out with a couple drills that are going to help you get the initial rotation on the rope and get a sense that the rope is in the right spot for that first jump. So don't be afraid when you're jumping to have an accentuated arm movement just to whip the rope around behind, but you want to end up with your hands in the same mechanical positioning as you have for your regular basic jump. So what you're going to do is you're going to swing the rope with both arms behind you, elevate up to your toes, and try to catch the rope underneath your heels between your toes. You'll notice at the end of that, my hands are a little bit forward of my hips, so that's okay for that first sensation. But I do want my hands within about 1 foot of my hips. They're not really low, they're not really high, and I'm in that proper positioning, in the same positioning as I used for my forward basic jump. Once you do that, go ahead and put both of the handles in one hand and get a sense for the backwards rotation, because again, it's going to be mostly generated from your wrist with the rest of your upper body loose. Big swing on the first one, and then you'll notice that I'm keeping my hand within, again, 8 to 12 inches from my hips, and I can really feel what it is like to have that rope swinging in the opposite direction from what I'm used to. Just sort of brushing the ground, nice, slow, and controlled. Once you've tackled those two drills, go ahead and try to take your first backwards jump. So again, it's okay to exaggerate the initial arm swing, and instead of just popping up onto your toes, you're going to actually bound this time. Start with the rope in front. One time around. Larger arm swing, and just try to finish with your hands in that proper position. If you've got one, go ahead and try two. Move on to three, and so on. Just start adding jumps. Now, some of the common errors that I've seen people make with the backwards jump, they tend to have a feeling that the rope is going to be too low and hit the ground behind them, so they pick up their hands. And so if you find that it's catching the bottom of your heels on your shoes, then most likely when you're just at the point where the rope would pass underneath, you're pulling up your hands and hitting your feet. It's going to look just like that. You start to pull them up a little bit higher. So just be aware that if that's happening, trust the arm positioning, keep your hands lower. Also, just a word of caution with backwards jumping. If you've ever had the experience of forward jumping and the rope hitting you in the back of the head because you've extended your arms too wide or the rope is a little bit too short, what's going to happen if you make that same error on this one is it's going to hit you in the face. So just go really, really slowly at first and make sure that you're comfortable and under control when you're jumping. Because if your arms go wide, after it goes underneath your feet, it's going to shorten the effective length of the rope and either just barely brush over the top of your head or even hit you in the face. So just kind of go slow and controlled when you're jumping. And you'll find that once you're comfortable, there's nothing different about the backwards jump, the backwards basic jump than the forwards, other than the direction of rotation of the rope. The hand positioning, the general technique, everything else is exactly the same. And if you want to start getting a little bit more brave and a little bit more comfortable, you can start trying some of the other skills and techniques that you've worked on. Because again, the rhythm, the timing of everything is going to be the same technique. It just takes a little while for your body to learn and be comfortable with it. So to recap, the backwards jump, it has the opportunity to double the number of skills that you can use in your jump rope workouts. With muscle activation, it helps to ensure that your muscles are being engaged for movement of the rope in both directions instead of what your body's accustomed to with just moving the rope in one direction. And it's just a good overall coordination, mental acuity, challenging type skill to learn to keep you fresh on your workouts. So give backwards jumping a try, please. If you've got questions or comments, leave them below, and good luck in your training.